Mr. Chairman, fellow members of the committee, my name is Bill Turney. I'm a retired Harris County resident and taxpayer. And first of all, I want to say that I have protested my taxes with HCAD for probably close to 30 years and have never felt that I was treated unfairly. I didn't always agree with the outcome, but I always felt that at least I got a fair shake. And frequently I got what I wanted, and one time they looked at me and said, "You didn't ask for enough, so we're going to give you more relief than you requested." So
You got bonus points?
maybe it was the shirt I wore. I don't know.
Well, you've got you've got your people you're commending over here, which is the current and now future chief appraisers to be.
I'm hoping they take note of my name so I can get more relief this next time when I ask for it. But
somehow I don't think it works that way. But
probably
Bill,
not. So
go ahead, Bill. You're a 30-year protester. Tell us how you want
for
to change
tax relief, we generally need to see either lower expenses or higher revenues. That's the only way we're going to get true relief. And most of what I've heard today has been in the order of tax reform. I come to speak in support of Medicaid expansion and urge the members of this committee and the Health and Human Services Committee to look carefully at not just the 4 states that Senator Taylor referred to, but look at all 30 states and look at the ensuing time from them, because obviously we can learn from their mistakes and we can learn from their successes. It would be worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 million in immediate tax relief to Harris County. So to quickly close,
Bill.
I don't want to go over my time or do anything else. I'd just like to quote one of your good friends, Steve Raddick, when he was asked about the strategy for reducing property taxes, said, "So let's go after the state. Let them simply accept the money, send it to us, and we'll cut taxes." That seems pretty clear, straightforward, and responsible. Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I will send you the written remarks that I had prepared. So
Thanks,
I'm
Bill.
giving you all the time back in tax relief.
You're the first one today.
Well, I try.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments for Bill?
And I was not a Marine. I was just a ground pounder Army guy.
Okay.
We led the way.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I don't want to get into that argument, and nor do we have time for Obamacare yet either. Okay, let's go to Tiffany.
Good afternoon, thank you. My name is Tiffany Hogue, and I'm with the Texas Organizing Project. I'm also a Harris County taxpayer myself and property owner. I don't want to belabor the point. Bill just testified on why we can draw down these Medicaid dollars, and I know that we've talked about, or y'all have mentioned, looking at the health committee looking at that more closely. But I think from y'all's lens, specifically on property tax, it's $6 billion that can be used and can come down to Texas, and we don't turn our head around, or we don't turn our hands up and don't not accept transportation dollars or disaster recovery dollars. This is another pool of dollars that's available to Texas that we should draw down. And specifically to Senator Taylor's points, very quickly, we can't compare states that tried to expand Medicaid before the Affordable Care Act and those that expanded it afterwards, because it's an apples and oranges comparison. All of those states have now expanded and have seen, and I'll have written testimony for y'all to look at this more deeply, but have seen net gain actually because of the secondary and tertiary economic benefits. So again, we've heard lots of people today talk about, and y'all on the committee have said, we need property tax relief, and as a taxpayer, I think we all can agree. That's something we can all agree on. This is a pocket of money that actually would allow us to do some relief pretty immediately,
Okay.
and so I offer that to y'all. Thank
So
you.
let me ask you a question.
Please.
Have you seen any report, any written device that says where the $700 million is being generated from? Have you all seen, besides hearing the story, has anyone seen anything in writing about this?
So Harris Health has $700 million in uncompensated care that comes out of their budget. So that's where that number comes from.
I'm not talking about lore. I'm talking about where is there in a cohesive document, one document anywhere, that talks about the $700 million. The lore is great. It's out there, but I have not seen it. Now, Bill, I also want to
I'll send it to you.
I appreciate it. Now, I also want to add that the reason why I'm sending these questions to Senator Schwartner of Health and Human Services, this is a very complex issue. in 2011, he had a bill that said that Medicaid expansion would be, let's see, if a bill that basically said effectively that Medicaid expansion, the counties would have to return that as a form of a tax cut. Harris County, Mr. Raddick, if he's here, they instructed their lobbyists to testify against that bill. Now, I don't mind the lore here, and I don't want to get involved in this to a great degree. I'll let Senator Perry go through it in a second, because he might have been there. But on the record, Harris County testified against such a bill in 2011 when Commissioner Raddick was clearly in charge of the war room at the county.
Right.
Now, so I bring this up to you to say, let's get out of the lore, let's get out of what we've heard. I want to see facts on paper, because the state taxpayers are going to be dramatically affected by this decision, regardless of what happens to the county taxpayers. And if the counties are going to advocate like they did in 2011, there's no purpose in even proceeding down the path under any circumstances.
Mr. Chairman, if I can
Go ahead.
interrupt just one moment, this is now 2016, and I think that Commissioner Raddick and Judge Emmett have both come to understand that they're now at the intersection of reality and philosophy, and it's changed, and they have to look at where the rubber really meets the road. They're the ones that
Okay.
are doing the local
Bill,
budgets
let me
and
read
spending
this
the
to you,
money.
because I want you to write it down, because neither Judge Emmett or Commissioner Raddick has graced us with their attendance today.
Right. I'll
So-
speak for them if you'll let me.
Okay, well, I would love for you to speak for them on Senate Bill 1808, SJR 63 by Chairman Schwartner. And I was wrong, it was 2013. It was only the session prior to the ones that we were all elected to. And Harris County was opposed to that bill. So until I hear some truth in what's being talked about, I'm really not interested in expanding this committee hearing, because it's not my charge. My charge is property tax relief. Now, you know, but when you bring this stuff up, there is a legislative record, and Harris County was opposed to exactly what you're advocating now. And I haven't seen a single sheet of paper that tells me exactly what this cash flow is. But I've got a record that Harris County has refused to consider it by the chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee, Senator Perry.
Won't keep you long. So is it your understanding, either one of you, that under Medicaid expansion, we would have had 100% reimbursement for some time period?
Not anymore. It was for the first 3 years.
Back when we refused it, what's your understanding?
Oh, in 2013, if we would have expanded it then?
Yes.
My understanding is that we would have, there would be some general revenue.
No,
And then-
what's your understanding? 10,000-foot view, we would have gotten reimbursed by all of those included in Medicaid expansion. Is that your understanding? No cost to the state is what I
Right.
kept hearing.
I think it was 90-10, but
90-10. Are you familiar with woodwork effect?
I like to call it the welcome mat effect.
I hear you, but you're familiar with it.
Yes.
750,000 Texans that would have come in there, that would have came onto the state rolls under a 48, 52-cent match, similar to LFMAP. They were not included in that 100% or 90-10 reimbursement.
Well,
So I just want to make sure we clear the facts.
right.
I heard some things about mental health too. We spend about $3 billion in the state on mental health if you scatter out throughout the budget. So we are addressing a lot of those needs. And I'm not exactly sure on this, but I believe when you go to the jailhouse, county jails, that you're officially off of the Medicaid system, because we had that hearing, I think about a month ago in criminal justice, that if you're in the jail, you don't have Medicaid. If you come out of jail, you have to reapply for Medicaid. We've tried to address that, but the idea that you're going to get reimbursement under Medicaid if we take expansion for jail cell, I believe is inaccurate. But we hear this every committee, and I do agree with Mr. Chairman, it's not our deal, but the other bigger elephant in the room, $20 trillion in debt climbing at the federal government, and there's only one taxpayer checkbook. So we have to begin a legitimate conversation about where we're going as a country, as a state, as local governments, when it comes to taxing someone that they cannot afford the debt that we're taxing on. But the woodwork effect is real. I think the estimates we had back in 11 and 13 were an additional $3 billion to the state. If all those folks came on board under the Medicaid expansion dollars. Now That's the numbers we were given back then, so appreciate it.
Thank you. So to your points, so the welcome mat effect would have allowed children primarily who are not currently enrolled in Medicaid but are eligible for our current Medicaid program to then get enrolled. And actually, I mean, this is something to applaud the state that our enrollment of children is something like 95%. So it's actually much smaller than it was in 2011.
We do a great job with CHIPS. It would also have enrolled males that were currently not employed and not working into a system they were not eligible for prior to Medicaid expansion. So it was expanding a population base that our current Medicaid system was not designed, other working moms and children.
Right.
So the state does a good job in those areas.
Right. So, I mean, so the welcome mat effect that would happen if we expanded Medicaid would be significantly smaller because we're that much closer to full enrollment. These are questions actually that are much more suited, right, to the health committee. However, I think the lens of as a taxpayer, these are still dollars. I mean, to your federal debt issue, we don't ever bring up that argument when we're asking for disaster relief money. We don't ever bring up that issue when we're talking about transportation dollars. I mean, we need the government 101, right, is to
Mr. Chairman, we
benefit
can
of
move
the-
on, but I will raise the issue. We actually contribute 5% to the federal government with respect to transportation dollars by design. So we
also pay a lot of taxes to them, and we can bring it back down. But I respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I'm happy to submit more in writing, and y'all can look at it.
I'll try to
Well,
follow
I
up
think
this
they
with
would
you.
change their tune now,
Mr.
but
Chairman, if I may, but I do think in all fairness, I was reading the committee charge, and the committee charge reads, study the property tax process, including the appraisal system, and recommend ways to promote transparency, simplicity, and accountability by all taxing entities. So although Health and Human Services can discuss the details of what's being proposed, I do think to the point that was made with regard to our taxes and our tax debt, whether it's by the federal government, state government, et cetera, I think the issue of Medicaid expansion is appropriate for this charge. Thank you.
Well, you know what,
Thank you.
Senator, I will say that if there's any set of words that doesn't mean Affordable Health Care Act or Obamacare, it's
Well, I didn't say-
transparency.
I didn't say Obamacare.
Simplicity, accountability.
Well, read the
believe
second
that's
part of the
case.
charge.
what's that?
The second part of the charge, and I never used the words that you used, either one of them.
No, Mr. Chairman, my point was not that. That wasn't the point I was making, Mr. Chairman. My point was simply for discussion under the committee charge, I think it's appropriate. I didn't say Obamacare. I simply read the charge and I said that the discussion I think is appropriate for this charge.
Well, we've had one. All right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.